The night was supposed to be calm, the kind of evening where the sky blazed with orange streaks fading into deep purples, and the crickets began their song across the open plains. But peace was a fragile thing out west, easily broken by the crackle of fire and the cruel intent of men. Inside the old barn at the edge of the settlement, a woman found herself trapped, her wrists raw from struggling against the rope that bound her, her breath trembling as smoke curled upward and flames licked the dry timber. The fire had been no accident. It was set by those who wanted to see her silenced, her spirit consumed along with the hay and wood. She coughed, her eyes stinging as she shouted for help. But her voice was swallowed by the roar of the fire. Hope seemed as thin as the air she struggled to breathe. Yet far across the pasture, a lone rider had seen the glow tearing through the night sky. He was a cowboy of few words, known more for his grit than his talk. But when he saw flames devouring the barn, something inside him told him someone was in danger. Without hesitation, he kicked his heels into the sides of his horse, charging toward the smoke with the determination of a man who had stared down storms, outlaws, and his own demons. The wind whipped his face, and the smell of burning wood grew stronger as he approached. He could hear the terrified whinnies of horses, the crack of timbers collapsing, and somewhere inside a faint cry. That was enough. He pulled the reins, his horse rearing back against the heat. But he steadied the beast with a calm hand and leapt down, covering his face with his bandana as he stormed into the choking haze. Inside, the woman's hope faltered when the flames roared closer. But then she saw him, a shadow cutting through the firelight, broad shoulders outlined against the blaze, eyes fierce with purpose. "Hold on!" he shouted, his voice steady even against the chaos. She coughed out his name, relief and disbelief mingling as he cut through the ropes that bound her. The moment her hands were free, she nearly collapsed, but his arms caught her, lifting her as if she weighed no more than a feather. Heat seared his back, smoke clawed at his lungs, but he pushed forward, each step a battle against the inferno. The roof groaned above them, threatening to fall at any moment, yet his focus never wavered. Bursting through the barn doors, the cowboy carried her out into the cool night air. The flames behind them, raging like an angry beast, denied its prey. He placed her gently on the horse's saddle, swinging up behind her, his strong arms holding her steady as he urged the animal into a gallop, away from the burning ruin. The rush of wind cooled their faces as they rode hard, the crackle of fire fading into the distance. She clung to him, her heart racing not just from fear, but from the overwhelming realization that he had risked everything for her. When they finally stopped on a hill overlooking the plains, the barn now just aglow on the horizon, she turned to face him. Her voice shook, but her words were steady. "You saved me. You didn't have to, but you did." He looked at her, his expression softened by the moonlight. "No one deserves to be left to burn," he said simply, his tone carrying a weight of truth. For a long moment they sat in silence, the night settling around them, broken only by the steady breathing of the horse beneath them. The woman's heart still pounded, but it was no longer from fear. It was from the spark of trust, gratitude, and something deeper, something she hadn't felt in a long time. She realized that courage like his was rare, that stories of men who rode through fire to save others weren't just legends. They were alive in front of her. And as the cowboy adjusted his hat and glanced once more at the horizon, she knew this night would never leave her memory. Sometimes it takes fire to reveal the strength of someone's spirit, and sometimes it takes a single act of bravery to change the course of two lives forever. And for those watching this story unfold, let it be a reminder that courage and sacrifice still matter in this world. If you've been moved by this tale, if you believe stories like this should keep living on and reaching hearts everywhere, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your support keeps these powerful stories alive, spreading inspiration, courage, and the spirit of hope with every new chapter shared. The following morning dawned with a sky painted gold, though the charred remains of the barn still smoldered, a reminder of the night's terror. The woman sat quietly on the porch of a small cabin, wrapped in a blanket, her hair tousled, her eyes carrying both exhaustion and relief. The cowboy tended to his horse nearby, his movements steady, calm, as though he hadn't just ridden through fire hours earlier. She watched him, trying to find words for the storm of emotions in her chest. Gratitude, admiration, and a flicker of fear lingered. Fear not of him, but of what the future now held. She broke the silence at last. "I thought I was going to die in there," she said softly, her voice cracking as the memory returned. He turned, meeting her eyes with a quiet strength. "Not while I'm breathing," he replied. Those words struck deeper than he realized, carrying a promise. That seemed far stronger than the flames that had tried to claim her. For the first time in years, she felt safe, even if the danger wasn't over. Whoever had locked her in that barn still walked free, and that truth weighed heavy between them. The cowboy knew it too. He tightened the saddle strap on his horse and glanced at her again, his jaw set with determination. "They wanted you gone," he said, his voice low but firm. "But I won't let them finish what they started."